What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Cruis'n World full cruise world record that I set, played by me, Freqhog. This world record is 9 minutes, 26 seconds, 77 milliseconds in game time, of course. The actual length of this video is 31 minutes, 23 seconds. So I'm using the Speed Demon car, power level 6, the highest that you can get. So we're starting off in Hawaii. Now, I received a couple of questions on this video, non-commentary version, about how the score works here. So basically what you can do in this game, Cruis'n World, you can do tricks like that right there, mega roll 2 seconds. You can do tricks in the game that take time off of your elapsed time at the end of the race. So the wheelie, 2 wheels on one side is worth 2 points over jumps, and that trick right there. And doing the wheelie, like going forward, that's worth 1 second. So you can do that over jumps and actually other cars as well. It sometimes gives you the extra 1 second. So basically, you do the tricks during your race, and then you try and get to the end as quick as possible, and then it will deduct the time off of your elapsed time. So we saw 2 tricks in this race. 52.79 was the final time. It's going to take off 4 seconds because I did 2 seconds trick and then another 2 seconds trick. So as you can see, 48.79, so we deducted 4 seconds. So that's how the point system works. So each race will have tricks done and time will be deducted, and that's basically where the skill of this game comes in, is how many tricks you can do in each race and get to the end as quick as possible and to get that really nice time at the end. Okay, so now another question I've been asked is how the Nitro boost works. You see me right there, I'm getting this free Nitro boost at the beginning of the race. Basically, you have to use manual, not automatic. I think you can do it in automatic, but I'm not sure how it works. But in manual, though, basically what you do is you start off in neutral, and you want to rev the engine to like the orange area right before it turns to the red. And when you rev it up that high, what you want to do is switch it to first gear. And then if you do it correctly, you'll hear the engine make that sound, that engine revving sound. And then the fire comes out, the flame comes out of your tailpipes. That you'll know if you do that. That's when it works. So do that, and I think if you do it multiple times in a row, I think it does a little bit more speed each time. I'm not sure though. I think it feels that way. But just practice the revving and throwing it in first. If it doesn't work, just go back into neutral and then go back into first, and just keep doing it until you're able to pull off that sound, and then you'll get the free boost. The boost is very key because you start off really slow if you don't do that. So you need that for a good time. So now we head on to Australia. This is a very neat course because it has a lot of bumps in the road. So a lot of bumps in the road mean a lot of potential for like exploiting the track for those 2 seconds tricks. So you see right there, there's a ramp. I got the 2 seconds, some strange heli 1 second, another 2 seconds. There's a lot of bumps, so you can do a lot of tricks. Another 2 seconds right there. You'll see on the sides in some areas there's these like little ridges. Yeah, take the shortcut for the 2 seconds there. But you see on some of the turns there's like these I don't know, bunker kind of crater things. I'm waiting for one to come up on the screen right here on the left side. You can do 2 seconds. I tried to do it there but it didn't work. You can do the 2 seconds there like that, and you can exploit for more 2 seconds times. So basically you just want to do just get us to the end as fast as possible. Get a lot of those 2 seconds without crashing is key. So that was a really nice run for Australia. It's very easy to make mistakes in this game too. One crash and you may need to start all over again from the beginning. It's a lot of fun though, this game. '16. 2019 is the cartridge time. Some of the times on the cartridge are really, really fast, and even now I don't think I can pass them. See the revving right there at the beginning, the neutral to first, just keep doing those to get the boost. So a lot of tracks, because the engine in Cruis'n World is very strange, so you can do a lot of tricks where you may not think it's possible to do tricks. Every ramp you can do a trick for sure, but there's other areas where you can do tricks. Like I think like right there wasn't really a hill, yet 2 seconds was taken off. I did mess up here, didn't get the 2 seconds off that ramp. A little disappointed, but still a nice run nonetheless. There's a weird trick in here where I like warp into the ground, I think. Yeah, like right there, like it's crazy. These 2 seconds and then the 1 second out of nowhere. So there's a lot of tricks for this race. 2 second off the end there. A lot of seconds deducted here. So the final time for this track is 36.96. So trick bonus, super heli, mega roll, 16 seconds worth. 16 seconds was deducted from the final time. I think if a lot of people knew about this kind of aspect, the tricks of this game, I think a lot more people would play, I think, because playing the game normally, like just getting first place and finishing the race is kind of boring. But when you incorporate this trick aspect, you can really gets really interesting and competitive. Now, in this map is pretty interesting because if you play it right, you can get a lot of these 2 second tricks. There's a little area up ahead where it has these little hills. You'll see here, I slow down, do the trick there, go up the hill here, do another trick there, and get another trick there. So 6 seconds off just that little area there. Nearly avoided a crash with that red car. Thankfully he drove into the computer oncoming traffic. Oh yeah, and another thing to know about the home version, Nintendo 64 version of Cruis'n World, is that the animals, they run across the track, but in the arcade version, you actually, if you hit them, they explode all over the screen. You see all the guts and everything. But in the home version, you just pass right through them, like they were invisible, I guess, see-through, sort of. You just pass right through them. So I actually own the arcade version of Cruis'n World and Cruis'n USA. I have a Cruis'n USA sit-down cabinet, and I also have the Cruis'n World board, which you can swap. They're swappable. If you just switch the pins, you can actually play the other game. So right now I have World installed, and I've been playing a lot of that. And it's a little bit of differences between the home version and the arcade version. The graphics on the arcade version are slightly better than the home version, but I actually find that the home version is better though overall. With the ports of cruising games, it's kind of strange. Like when we had Cruis'n USA come out in the arcade, they got the N64 port in '96, and it was regarded as really bad. Like just the gameplay just isn't exactly the same. So I feel it's not as good of a version as the arcade. But when it comes to Cruis'n World actually on the home version is better for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is the music tracks in the home version. There's actually more music tracks. They added 4 new songs composed for some of the tracks. Egypt right here is one of them, of the original songs that isn't in the arcade game. Which is a shame because the tracks that they added, the audio tracks, are very good in the home version. And another thing that makes the home version better is the fact that you can race on the moon. When you play the arcade version, you get to the last course, which is Florida. You're picked up and put in the space shuttle to be launched to space, into the moon. And that's where the game ends. The credits roll and then the game's over. But in the home version, you actually get to race on the moon. So that's pretty cool. So they added an extra track for the home version. And the home version also has other modes. There's Cruising the World, which we're seeing now, but there's also like Championship, where you're like doing laps on some of the tracks, which is kind of interesting, kind of lame at the same time, but at least they still added extra content to the game that the arcade didn't have. I remember when I got Cruis'n USA, when the N64 came out that Christmas, I got the N64 and Cruis'n USA, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But then when I went back to the arcades and tried to play it a couple more times, I realized that the N64 version is just not as good. I even had the steering wheel for the N64, but still not as good though. So now we're playing Russia. This is a nice track to get a lot of tricks at. You see at the beginning there, I did like the two wheels into the wall. You can get 2 seconds for some reason off the wall if you drive into the wall. Oh, a neat thing about this map and the map on the arcade version is that you'll see me cutting the corners here by taking like the sidewalk there instead of this like the brick pavement here. In the arcade version you can't actually go on the sidewalk. I mean you can, but it slows you down. In this version it doesn't slow you down. So there's pillars here you can get the 2 seconds off of. I think I missed that one there for the extra 2 seconds, but still a nice run nonetheless. There's certain areas in the arcade version where you can drive on the grass and it doesn't slow you down, but if you drive on the grass in the home version, it does slow you down. So they did a lot of tweaking with where you can drive off-road. It's not consistent at all. So it's really neat. Cruising World introduced the tricks to the game, and they added like in the arcade, if you let go of the gas and like double tap it, you can do the wheelie and everything. So same thing with the home version, of course. You can tap the A button to do the trick, but in Cruising USA, there was no tricks. You just drive. There was no double tapping. A lot of people think that there is double tapping in that game, but there isn't. So in Germany, this map, there's not really many places you can do tricks. There was that hill at the back there. We just passed the hill. And you got 2 seconds there, but then there's a section coming up. It's an exploit where you're doing a turn. You can get a 2 seconds off that. Right here. Yeah, it's very strange. Like, again, it doesn't look like you can do a trick there, but I somehow found a way. That's the thing, like, I played this game so many times trying to get the 1 second off that card. Didn't work. I played this game so many times that, like, just so many situations happen. And again, 1 second denied by the oncoming traffic. But I think I get this 1 second here. Yeah. I played a lot of... Oh, another 1 second there, too. I played a lot of this game, so a lot of scenarios have happened, so I found a lot of tricks, a lot of places you can do the tricks on and get the time off of. And there's some of the races in this game where it's unbelievable how many times you can do the tricks. You'll see in races coming up, like for instance Mexico and New York. I think those are the worst ones, where you can do so many tricks. Like you could do like 15 tricks easily. So we'll see that later on in this video. Italy. So Italy is another course where there's really not that many places to do tricks. It's just a lot of straightaway and turns, a lot of flat surfaces. Tried to get the 1 second off that car. Denied though. That happens sometimes, but it's not a deal breaker. It's nice to have though that extra 1 second. So in this race there's a lot of straightaways. There's one place where you can do a trick. It's near the end. You can get the 2 seconds there easily. But I think in this run I actually get some more time taken away because I get lucky with the enemy cars and the oncoming traffic. I get a couple seconds off, like there's 1 second there. Now here on the left side, you want to take this left path, slow down, and do the 2 seconds there. If you don't slow down, you will crash, and that causes a lot of time. So I get an extra 1 second there. I think I got another 1 second off this guy. Yeah, which is crazy. Do a turn here, and I actually get 1 more second off this red car. Didn't get first place, but it's not all about the placement. It's about that time taken off. So I think this time coming up is a nice time. I don't know if it's the record on the cartridge, but it's a nice time. It is the record, 63. Wow. So close. I notice a lot when you play this game a lot, sometimes you get the same time come up twice. Like on the arcade game, there's at least 4 instances where there's the exact same time in like multiple positions. Like for example, say first and second are both like 26:50. It's just crazy how like it's exactly the same on the milliseconds. So in this race, France, there's a lot of tricks you can do. After each forest area, you can do a 2 seconds off of the road. I don't really understand. It doesn't look like you can do it off of the end here. It just somehow lets you. And then in these areas with like the beige colored sides, you can actually do 2 seconds, like right here. You can do a 2 seconds there. It's crazy. Another 2 seconds here. Outrageous. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how I figured that out. You just ram into the wall. Okay, it worked. And then it's a good trick to just keep doing. The thing I noticed about this version versus the arcade is that this version has the power levels 1 through 6. But in the arcade game, there is no power levels. It's just whatever it gives you, right? But I would say that like power level 1 is the same speed as the arcade version. So when you get to power level 6, you're going a lot faster. So I've been playing a lot of the arcade version recently, and watching this video right now is just crazy how fast you're going, like how much quicker it is. So it's definitely raises the gameplay. Like when you're going that fast, you can do more of those tricks. Like if you're going power level 1 or power level 2 and you're trying to do those France tricks where you're exiting the forest area and you do that trick, it doesn't work there because you got to be going that power level 6 speed. So England is a course that has no ramps, I think, to get any tricks on. So any tricks have to be done off of the enemy vehicles or the oncoming traffic. See, in this race, you can actually drive on the sidewalk, not slow down, but in the arcade version, it slows you down. But anyway, so yeah, the 1 second you can get from that car there, warp into the wall somehow, and you're placed back on the track. That's the only time I think you can get off this track is that 1 second off the car. Now, in the arcade version, it's funny, if you get first place in the arcade version, you actually are treated to this little cutscene where the UFO comes over you and takes you away. In this version, you don't get that. You know, in the arcade version and console version, there's a lot of difference in terms of what they can do. Like cartridge space is limited. In arcade, you can expand as much as you want, really. But cartridges, N64 I think was limited to 64 megabytes. I think the largest cartridge was Conker's Bad Fur Day. Don't hold me to that though, but I think it is. I'm not sure how big this game is. I wouldn't imagine it's more than 8 megabytes. It's crazy how much they can pack into these cartridges. Now Mexico, here's one of the races where the 2 seconds is exploited by speed. So you see each of these corners, these little hills on the side, you can actually get a lot of time taken away by doing that. Like it's just, I'm abusing those hills with the 2 seconds trick. When I first found out about that, I was blown away of how many times you can perform this trick. So I do wipe out. I do activate the Nitro boost with the neutral to first gear to catch back up. And some weird engine thing happening there, which I'm glad it didn't wipe me out again. But when you slam into the walls in this game, like, you get thrown back in the middle of the racetrack, which is nice, so you don't have to worry about positioning your car properly. So another wipeout, but not too much of a concern. I hit the Nitro boost. Still a really, really good time. Really far ahead with all those tricks right now. I think this run right here is a cartridge record. Sometimes it's hard to beat those cartridge records. Right there is a chance to wipe out. I'm glad it didn't. So elapsed time is 101. Let's see what kind of calculations I get. $30.76, surpassed by 34.76. So I shaved 4 seconds off my old time. So the next race is going to be New York, and in that race you can do kind of the same thing. On the walls, they're kind of curved a bit. There's a lot of places you can do the 2 seconds. Really helps out your time. So you see on the right side there, it's kind of like a curved side, so you can actually do the 2 seconds on the walls. Yeah, it's like right there. It's crazy. So you just keep doing that as much as you can. So it's interesting in this game how they made the game. So Cruis'n World, they actually, it's kind of realistic a little bit in terms of like landmarks and stuff. Basically what they did is they had a camera crew travel around the world and take pictures of, you know, famous landmarks, maybe road textures, like tunnel textures, and then they took those pictures and made them into textures and then threw them in the game. Granted, they look, you know, dated now, but at the time it was really, really good looking. Like on the arcade game, it's fantastic for its time. It surpassed most games graphically at the time. They did that for Cruis'n USA as well. I think they did the same thing for Cruis'n Exotica. So a trick missed there, and trick there, which is good. There's a 2 seconds you can do here. Doesn't look like you've performed the 2 seconds, but it definitely happened. So now we're moving on to, I think wow, 29 seconds. The final race, which is Florida, I think. Yeah, Florida. So actually, there is Moon after this. But Moon doesn't count towards the Cruis'n World time, the full cruise. Okay, so you can get 2 seconds there. Now there's a ramp coming up where you actually have to slow down or you will wipe out. I think it's the next one. If you don't slow down, you'll hit the side and wipe out. Yeah, right there. I threw the brakes and got the 2 seconds successfully. Yeah, so this is the last race that actually counts towards the full cruise time. Moon doesn't count. It's like a bonus stage. I do race Moon, but it doesn't count. Okay, so that does it for the full cruise. So now the cruising time is calculated at the end here. which is actually, I think, this one. Yeah, it is. So 9:26:77. That's the final cruise time. And Florida was 41:39. So that is the cruise record. As you can see, I surpassed my old record. I was the goal here was I bought a capture card to record this, and I set a goal for myself to try and get under 10 minutes in game time, and I was very happy to get 9:26. I didn't think it was possible to get under 10 minutes. So like in the arcade game, this cutscene is there. You're being airlifted by this helicopter into a space shuttle to be blasted off to the moon. But unlike the console version, or unlike the arcade version, sorry, it doesn't end there. You get to race on the moon, which the moon level is really just in Australia, just reskinned, I guess, to look like gray and moon-like. So it's kind of, they cheated a little bit. So same thing in arcade version, they drop you off at the moon, and then you're greeted with the president in a hot tub. You can watch that on YouTube. I think you can just search it anywhere. So now we get to watch the credits. Director Eugene Jarvis, the god of cruising. He's the one that invented cruising, the idea of it. Eugene Jarvis is actually, he has some arcade hits. You may have heard of games like Defender and Robotron X. He also was the director of those games. So he's definitely knows what he's doing. And cruising really is interesting. Like Cruis'n USA, people don't talk about it anymore, but it was actually a big hit in the arcade days. When it first came out, Cruis'n USA, the graphics were the best at that time, no doubt. And also, I read something on the internet where each machine made 20 times its purchase amount. So maybe you buy the arcade game for $5,000. I'm not really sure what the original price was, but say it was $5,000. So each arcade game made 20 times that amount. So it's crazy how much money these machines made if you were a coin op back in the day. So Eurocom, I think they were the ones that ported the game from the arcade to the N64. They did a good job. I definitely glad that this is the best of the series, in my opinion, on the console. Cruis'n Exotica, it was a terrible port. It was so bad. USA was bad too, but Exotica was the worst. Arcade version of Exotica though is good, but there's just too many like I don't know, like it feels like when you're racing in Exotica on the home version it's just not doing anything. Like it's too easy. You can do tricks off everything. Like you can do those 1 second flips like a million times in one race. So I feel it's not really any fun. And the engine feels a lot different. And in the arcade version, there's special thanks too. They have a lot of funny things at the end. I can't recall what they are now, but if you ever beat the game arcade version, look at the special thanks. It's like special thanks to like mom and pizza this and something that, and you know, to the wives or something. It's silly. Midway is a silly company, as you can tell with like Mortal Kombat and the toasty guy and everything. They like to play around. Seemed like a bunch of good guys back in the day making good games. Now that the arcade scene is dead, it's not really not really any good. Like, the arcade games that they put out nowadays, they're mostly Redemption and yeah, Fruit Ninja, like the big screen arcade. Oh man, this is terrible. So we're watching the Moon gameplay now, which is not a part of the final cruise time. I wipe out a lot because this race is very unstable. It's like they took Australia with all those bumps, but they messed with the gravity a little bit, and you fly off the track all the time. It's difficult to get first place in this power level 6 anyway, because you're going so fast. Again, you can do the 2 seconds off those like side crater things, same as in Australia. A lucky break there, the computers crashed, so I snugged first place. Okay guys, that does it for the Cruis'n World world record time. I hope you enjoy it. It'd be interesting if you guys could make your own videos of races in the game and your records of each track, and link them to this video somehow. I'd love to check them out. So thank you for watching, and tune in next time.